we'll get stuck straight into it. And so, just so I don't forget, the first one we'll do is jump straight into CAS, because I think it's good to see what a really technical does look like. Cool. That should be sharing now. I know there's been a bit of a dump on Bitcoin, but we will get to that straight after CAS. Is this the one? Doesn't really matter if it isn't. Yeah, it seems like it is the one. That's all good. Alrighty. So I just wanted to show a bit of price action from the past sort of 6 weeks with CAS and how it's respected fib levels and 50% levels extremely well. So that what we've got here, we've got some levels drawn from this low back in June, which was a key low at $1.13, up to this all-time high at 20 cents. We can see on the first dump, comes back and touches the 786 level perfectly, absolutely perfect. It stopped on a dime, realistically, and it had a massive pump up out of that low. So the 786 was at 14.5 cents, and that daily closed 10% higher, which is quite huge. And then from that, we can see it's then followed through, had some the buying follow through and rejected off this 50% level. Now, this 50% level that with the red bar is from the all-time high down to that dump level. And from there, it just sort of it got stuck in between the two levels, dumps back below the 50% level, which is from this low back up here to the high, held below, popped back up, and then we got a bit of range trading in between the two levels. So this is what you call indecision. It's in no man's land. It's bullish on the higher time frame, but bearish on the lower time frame. Before it's then popped through, and now it's flipped this level into support. And we can see it's now entered into a bit of an accumulation, not getting a daily close back below this 50% level. And it's just very nice to see this technical sort of play where we've got a great reaction of a 786, which 786 is a notorious level for alts to retrace to. And then it starts respecting these 50% levels where it's providing resistance on the lower time frame and support on the higher time frame, pops above, flips that level into support again before it starts its little march on up again. So it really wasn't a lot to go over, but yeah, it was just something that I really wanted to show. If we didn't have this stuff on the chart, you just look at it and think, oh yeah, it's had a dump. Maybe it's flipped this price action into support, and we're just moving on. But you don't really know, okay, well, why did it stop dead there? Why did it find resistance at this level? And these are the reasons why. When you do start drawing indicators, you can sort of work out where these levels are. And we've even seen it a bit with BTC as well in the past couple of days. So with that, we might jump into BTC actually. Now, we all know my BTC chart is quite a bit more messy, if you will. We've got this 50% level back here at 63,500, we'll call it. At 63,666, but you know what? That's fine. That level is the all-time high to the 53.5K low, 50% level. That's where I had my long entry, bang on 50%. My stop loss was... What was my stop loss? Pretty sure my stop loss was around 52,750, something like that. Sorry, 62,750, not 52,750. Yeah, stop loss was down at around 62,750, which was below this midpoint of the parallel channel, which is that dotted line. Because I figured it's going to wick through this level, but how far is it going to wick through? You need to have invalidation at some point. So I thought, I'll just keep it a little bit below the midpoint of the channel. And to be honest, it didn't really even get close. Like we got down to 63, 380 or 400, something like that. And then we've seen the pump up, and it hasn't really been looking too much at fib levels. It's mainly been the horizontal levels that have been quite important for me, at least anyway, where we're seeing the support and resistance levels come in. We'll drill into some lower time frames here. So we did see on Saturday first run up to 69,400. That was on the back of a bit of a news pump, if you will. That was Trump announcing that if he gets elected, he will announce Bitcoin as a federal strategic reserve for their currency. And that saw the big pump up to 69.4, and then we got the follow through sell off. But what's important to note is, whilst it did have a sell off down to 66.5K, it actually closed back above this 67,300 level, which is an important level. We can see after that dump, it actually didn't get a 4-hour close below that level. So when I started seeing this, I thought, all right, it's holding its support. We're going to go back up and hopefully get to my level at 69,700, which we did. And when we're at the tops, similar to down here, but in reverse, we failed to get any closes above that level, any 4-hour closes above there. So, I could have probably had my take profit a bit higher, but we got to pick somewhere. I prefer to front run these levels a little bit. Was conscious that there is a 786 level at around 69,600. So I didn't want to go too far ahead. Nonetheless, we've now seen another dump because we did get caught up and stuck above here for quite a bit of time. There's I think there's about 18 hours worth of trading up at these highs where there was a bit of volume coming in before it did have the dump. It was around $140 million 15-minute candle, and the price budged about $300 or $400. So there's a lot of bearish absorption happening up at this zone, protecting it. And because we have had a lot of candles in this upswing. So this is the first upswing, then we get the pullback, and then we've got another upswing. So we're getting a lot of candles in the upswing, a lot of suppression at the high. We're going to get this dump, and that's to flush out the late longs that are getting in up here. And when you get a lot of volume, you then get a big push through, and that's more of a liquidation grab. And I don't know if I've updated this fib, but that looks like a very nice reaction off the 618. No, I haven't. Okay. So we might just adjust these a little bit so they're up to date. We can see what's going on. All right. So on this pullback, it's found some support at the 50% level. Yep, it did wick through a bit. That's basically just taking out the stops that are below this level here. Because as this was also a liquidation event, and have all these longs building up during this zone, they're going to look at that and say, right, we had a lot of support come in here. We haven't visited again since. I'll put my stop here while we ride up. So it's going to dump down, sweep this wick, and bounce back up, which is what we've seen. We did get some hourly closes below, which is fine. My little general rule of thumb is a 4-hour close below a key level plus the subsequent or the following 1-hour close below that level is confirmation of basically acceptance below that key level or above that key level if you're looking for an uptrend. We didn't get either. We didn't get either. We haven't had a 4-hour close yet, which we've got another one coming up in about 15 minutes. So these 1-hour closes for me are neither here nor there. I'm more interested to see what happens in the next hour and 15 minutes to see where things stand at the moment. It looks like it did close below. It's had the liquidation event, bounced back above. If we zoom in, maybe it looks better on a 15-minute chart. Yeah, so it's popped back up and it's flipping it into support again. And by the look of things, if it does hold it, then we're going to be looking to continue back up. But we'll see what happens in the next few hours. And it's not a hard and fast rule. So say we do get back up here on the 4-hour close, it doesn't mean that we can't drop back below on the daily close. The higher up we get in the time frames, the more important they are. But I just use the 4-hour and the 1-hour rule as almost like a leading indicator as to what's likely to occur. And we gain more confirmations by the higher time frame closes, like the 12-hour, the daily, weekly, etc. So for me, Bitcoin is still in a good position. My stop loss is down at 64K, which is a long way off. I'm going to be holding that there, I think, for a little while longer. I'm happy to just let myself get stopped out if that happens to be. I think there's more upside reward than what there is downside risk, and 64K I'm still in profit, so I'm not really too phased. Going to the weekly chart. So we had the 2 strong weeks, about 4 and 3 weeks ago. Then we can see that we've had the sellers step in, and it's a bit hard to see the wicks because of all the shit I've got on the screen. But we did close green, just. Now we're seeing a bit of a pullback. I think it would be good to see a red week. Whether it's just a small candle, maybe we close up again around 68,200 for the week, and we get a similar bodied candle to last week. I think that's fine, but I think we need to have a bit of a pullback just to keep things balanced before we start moving on again. And then going to the monthly, which we've got closing in 2 days' time, 2 days and 5 hours. I'd like to see this monthly close above the previous 2 monthly tops. And it can be anywhere above there. 68.2 would be fine. Higher would be better. But yeah, if we can get a close above 67,600, I think that would be bullish. It means that we're starting to get on top of the monthly tops, the recent monthly tops, and likely to start challenging these monthly tops back from March and April. Let's see if there's any comments. G'day, Hunter. Good to see you. Ringo, been a while, my friend. Welcome back. Good to see you. there's anything you guys want me to have a look at specifically, please let me know. I'm going to jump into NIA. It has been a bit of an underperformer of late. We might jump into the NIA BTC chart to begin with and see what's going on here. So the weekly has closed back below the major 50% level, which isn't great, but it's holding these lows for now. Really want to see this getting back and reclaiming this 50% level at around 8,000 Satoshis. We did get a glimmer of hope back here. Well, not a glimmer of hope. It was looking quite strong back here. We'll just jump to the daily where we can see it a bit better. Where we did get above these highs. And we were sort of hoping that we were going to get price come back down and flip this into support before going up, but it hasn't. It's just continued on down. And it's actually flipped this short 50% level, which is this green one up here. It's flipped that into resistance. And we got a little bit of ping pong in between, but now it's fallen back below. So we're looking for us to hold this low over here and this low here. Ideally, we stay above these candle. Move it up a little bit. These daily candle closes. That's the ideal situation. We stay above there, but we can come down a little bit as long as we hold here. And then the ultimate is we don't want to see this level over here broken down. And this is just on a bit of a pullback, which we do see that there is sometimes weakness comes into these alts. You know, get something like that to come out of the lows. And even on the USD chart, we are seeing a bit of weakness as well. Not as weak as the BTC chart, but we are seeing some weakness here. I think this looks better on the 4-hour chart, to be honest. Yeah. So when we're at the highs, I thought we were going to tap out at about $6, but we ended up getting higher, which is fine. Like, it was welcomed by everyone. Not that I think any of us really sold, but anyway, we had flipped this level at $6 into support, but only for a short period of time before we came crashing through. Found the next horizontal level as support, but then the $6 level got found as resistance before we then got a big dump down. And we got a really nice reaction down here off the 50% level. Maybe if I move up a little bit. Yeah. 50% and the horizontal bounced up out of that nicely. And now we're broken down again. So on the USD pair, it's important to hold this low. We don't want to see this low get broken down. And to the upside, we want to get above this trend line. Reclaim this horizontal, and ultimately get back above this horizontal, which is also these tops. So maybe we come down, hit the 520, and then we start coming back up again. Who knows? I'm just going Mr. Squiggle on yous now. But look, whilst it doesn't look like it's fantastic at the moment, things can change extremely quickly, which is what we saw back here, dumping into the lows. Things were looking horrible, and then we saw some support. And when things turned quickly. We got lots of consecutive green candles out of the lows over here. Well, that's a big swing up with no pullbacks. It's a banana pattern. It's not that. I don't believe that that's actually a pattern. It just looks like a banana to me. So the fact that we are having a pullback and we're not even at the midpoint of this run up. It's quite good. We have seen some support, so whilst we get the good run ups, we also have to take the pullbacks. Might move into Bitcoin dominance. So we are seeing a little bit of bearishness coming into this, which is definitely welcomed. Failed to get a higher high on macro time frame. As we can see, we've got the high back over here, which will line up with the top of the green. And we haven't quite got there. And now in the lower time frames, we are seeing it starting to roll over. Going up. It's a bit like that. It doesn't mean that we can't start flipping this into a bullish structure again, whilst it takes a bit of a breather up in these highs. I'm still holding conviction that I'm of the opinion BTC dominance is going to capitulate in the very near future. I know I sound like a bit of a broken record, and I've been talking about this for a little while, but it's been on a uptrend hiatus for the best part of, I think it's around 2 years now, or 18 months at least. If we go out to the weekly, we can confirm. Right, so I bottomed in 22. So yeah, we're approaching 2 years of being on this very convincing uptrend. It's gearing up to start falling down. There might be a little bit more upside, like what I have done here, where maybe we wick the prior high and then capitulate. But I really don't think if we do get up into this purple zone, I really don't think we're going to be spending much time up there. It just comes down to where we are in the market cycle. Like, in my eyes, we're looking at the last sort of 6 to 8 month period of the bull market. So from a time perspective, there really is only about 2, maybe 3 months at most left of this Bitcoin dominance uptrend. I'm probably more of the opinion that it's less than that. It's less than 2 to 3 months, maybe around August, September. We'll start to see this completely flipping. But yeah, I don't think we're going to have another 12 months of Bitcoin dominance grinding up. See if there's any comments or requests. I might jump into Solana and have a look, because it is doing really good. We'll start with the Sol BTC chart. Okay. I've got a heap of squiggles on here from last week's public catch up. Yeah, it's still looking strong. I think we're still got some upside to go against BTC. Starting to attack these highs over here. If it can get above these tops over here where we saw some resistance, then I think it can actually go on a significant bigger run up to this horizontal level. Which, how far away is that? Price range. It's a 22% away loosely. Remember, these horizontal levels are not exact. It's going to stop dead on this horizontal. That's just my sort of free hand of where I'm thinking that there's going to be support and resistance based on prior price action. So, about 22% roughly from where we are now, which is pretty significant on the BTC chart. It's like Bitcoin running on the spot and Sol running up by 20% off its own free will. It's pretty, yeah. That'd be pretty impressive to see it go for a bit of a run up there. It's actually holding really well on the daily as well. Like if we compare that to BTC daily chart, see it's got a fairly decent size red body candle, and over in Solana, we're still green for the day with hardly any wick to the downside. Got a decent wick to the upside, but that's fine. We can have them. So I think for me, Solana's actually looking really good. It really wants to. Oh, maybe on a weekly I can have this looking a bit better. Okay, so the weekly actually looks even better than the daily. On the weekly, we've got these tops over here at around $202. We'll call it 200, where we should expect some initial resistance. But on the weekly, it's well and truly above this horizontal at 170, which has provided support and resistance, more so resistance in the past, particularly back in around May, early June. On the daily, well, you do want to see a daily close above this 186 level. Even if it got up to about 188, that would look nice to me. If it closes below 186, it means it hasn't quite it's not quite ready to flip this level into support just yet, and it's actually acting as resistance. But we've got a little bit of structure there to suggest that it could be resistance. Because back over here, we did see it holding as support, and then as it dumped down, there was a little bit of resistance there. So I think this is a minor key level. I'm definitely more interested in the level at around $200, 202, where we didn't even get a daily close really above the level. Not to mention the weeklies. But yeah, Sol's definitely looking good, looking bullish. I think I've said it a number of times now. If you are looking to get into it, you've got to look at what is the risk reward to the upside. Based on the charts, like the charts aren't lying, it is looking strong and bullish. So if you are wanting something that's a bit safer, Sol would be a safer bet, but I don't necessarily think you're going to get a 10x on Solana because it has already traveled so much. And for it to do a 10x from here, you're talking $1,800 and a pretty crazy market cap, which is what you need to take into consideration for the upside. But if you're happy for a 2.5x, a 3x, or something to that effect, Solana wouldn't be too bad of an option. Oh, we've just had the 4-hour close on BTC, and it's closed below that horizontal. Only just, but it did close below it, and it has also closed below these levels of support at 67,500. The candle's engulfing the previous 4-hour candle as well, and wick. So I think as a minimum, coming back down to test this 66,700 level, see if it has some more support still before going back up. The big thing is to get this next hourly close above 67,300. failure to do so means that we've got a bit more downside to come. Was there any cart requests or anything you guys wanted me to talk about specifically? I do know I've got to get back to you, Hunter and Baldrick, about your Ethereum charts. You have to have a bit of patience with me. I've been pretty fairly sick the past week, and I was also away for work as well, which hasn't been too fun. Wild. Yeah, no worries. Oh, world. Yeah, no worries. We can have a look at that. Running fairly ordinarily, given it had a really big pump a couple months ago. Yeah, this is not looking good. The reason why I say it's not looking good is we're trading at and have traded below this region here at around $2. I do believe the team is now getting unlocks of WorldCoin. I can't remember the specific number, but I want it, and I'm really taking a stab in the dark, but I think that's around 40 million tokens are unlocking each month. So they're going to start having a considerable amount of consistent sell pressure, I would imagine. But, I should delete this fib. Um, if we do see a break, if you were wanting to get into WorldCoin and be a bit of a degen and a little bit risky, I'd definitely be having a stop loss below these lows at $1.70. Because if it does push down below here, it's just going to keep maintain that bearish momentum, and yeah, you risk about what 25%, 25% loss if it does wick through. Uh, there is a lot of upside. We did get to $12, but you also just need to be conscious that there is a heap of tokens being unlocked. This is a clear downtrend that we're seeing here. We could be at a point where it is flipping, but we're getting back below some of these accumulation zones. On this dump here, if it held these highs at around $4, that would have been quite nice for a continuation. And you can sort of not ignore but sideline the fact that it had a run from $12 down to 4, because you look at the upside that it's had, but the fact that it came crashing down through that level and pretty hard as well, and we're now back down at $2.30. I'd say that there's a shitload of people that are in the red at the moment. Yeah, you're going to start hearing that when token unlocks start happening. A lot of VCs, their whole purpose is marketing to get pumping going on, and it's basically to pump their own bags. You see a lot of big name influencers who have 700,000 followers showing a chart like that, saying, "Look how wrecked it is. It's showing a bit of life. It's gonna come back to life and go to the moon." It's typically because they're getting paid to do so. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think you wouldn't really catch me buying into this. I don't think. We'll just jump into the BTC chart. I imagine it's going to look similarly terrible. Yeah, this actually looks even worse. It looks a lot worse. The BTC chart, it's not trading above any price action. It's trading below. So it's going to have a lot of headwind getting up. Not something I would be getting into. Definitely not at this stage of the market. and unlikely at any other stage of the market, especially for something that's a mid to large cap. No, not for me. You could maybe give it a little bit of reasoning on the USD chart, but the Bitcoin chart is a hard no. Yeah, that's exactly right, Hunter. The VCs have influences on the payroll. You see it quite often, and once they start screaming about it on Twitter, you'll see it has a run up, and then it just comes crashing back down slowly, bleeding right off, and ends up at a lower price than what it was when the influencers got involved. Might do one more before we pack up for today. We might have a look at the SPX. Jump into the E-mini. So I was back here when we got the 3 days down. Was literally following the high. I posted up in Premium that I thought this is a bit of a sign that we're going to have a few weeks to the downside, and I don't necessarily think we're going to be printing new all-time highs for a short period of time. We need to have a bit of a pullback, and that's looking like it has played out. We have seen, quite a decent dump last week, but when you're on the zoom out, it actually hasn't been too severe when you look at the run up that we've had. We're actually maybe coming towards the end of this now because it has filled this gap. Uh, we have filled this gap over here now, which is good to see. But perhaps we just see a little bit more sideways for another week or so. I'd say between 1 to 3 more weeks before we start seeing some more upside coming into it. And this is just, it needs it. You don't want to see consecutive green just going straight up. We do need these little intermediate pullbacks. We saw a bigger one over here, which is fine, but we do need to see them. It's just for the health of the market to keep it going up. I mean, at the end of the day, the long play, as you guys all know, for me is a bit of a capitulation, recession, and a catastrophe to occur at some point. But for the meantime, I'm still definitely a permeable and think we've got more upside to come. So these dips don't phase me whatsoever. When you hear the S&P knocked off $1.1 trillion from the markets, while it also put on $1.1 trillion over a similar time frame. So hasn't necessarily lost it. You don't hear about how much money has come into the markets. If this is a $1.1 trillion dump, well, what sort of gain is this upswing? Um, that must be a $3 trillion upswing at least. But no one heard about that. We just hear about these little dumps. So when I see these news things, I definitely don't fret. I don't think you should either. Don't buy into it. It's what sells. It's what gains the attention of people who don't necessarily look at the charts and follow what's happening in the markets. It sounds scary, but it definitely isn't scary. Well, I reckon with that, guys, we might call it there for today. If you have any requests for next week's catch up, or even between now and then, if you guys want a chart, um, put together or want me to explain something or teach you something, whatever it might be, whether it's talking about invalidation of a trade or spot holding, what exchanges I recommend to use or what I think about a coin, whatever it might be, chuck it up in the chat. I'm more than happy to help it. It doesn't have to wait for these catch ups for us to talk about something. That's what I'm there for. It's what you guys pay your membership for. So yeah, feel free to use me when you want to, when you see fit. So enjoy the rest of your day, your evenings, and I'll catch you guys later.